Junto Nakatani can beat Naoya Inoue. People that have been watching this channel for a while are probably thinking I'm going back on what I said, because one of my older videos was talking about how nobody beats Naoya Inoue. And I do think Inoue is the best boxer in the world right now, but in boxing, there's always a chance for an upset to occur. With the right strategy in mind, there's a solid chance that Junto Nakatani can beat Naoya Inoue. They'll be fighting each other for 3 world titles in the Tokyo Dome on May 2nd, and this has the potential to be fight of the year. Both of these guys are world champions in multiple weight classes, and they both got records of 32-0, making this a true match made in heaven. In this video, I'll be taking a closer look at both of these fighters and going through a game plan that will lead to Nakatani beating Inoue. As always, if you like this kind of content, then remember to subscribe because it really helps the channel out. Before we go through how Nakatani beats Inoue, we should talk about their styles. Junto Nakatani is a sharp, counter-punching southpaw. He uses his footwork to make small steps in order to stay in range. Once he's mid to long range, he relies on sharp, straight punches like his jab and backhand. He uses his jab to disrupt his opponent's timing by catching them in between exchanges. His combinations are basic, short, and compact, opting to throw 2 to 4 punches whilst frequently changing levels. Nothing is thrown for no reason. His jab is a great rangefinder, and once he's in range, he lets his hands go. He's also very tall for the weight class, and being a southpaw, it makes him much more tricky to deal with. He has great power in his straight left hand and also in his uppercuts. His power is also shown in his high knockout rate, coming in at 75%. Now, although he has some great strengths which have led to him winning multiple world titles in multiple weight classes, he has weaknesses that can be detrimental if left exposed. One of his main weaknesses is that his defense is heavily reliant on leaning back and using footwork to get out of range. Once he's in mid to close range, he's shown to become vulnerable and uncomfortable. This is a structural limitation that comes from his body being so long. Taller boxers tend to struggle at closer range because their longer arms mean that they don't have enough space to extend their punches properly. This leads to them smothering their punches and also means that they aren't able to utilize their body's full mechanics, leading to arm punches. They also have slower punch recovery, which means because his arms are so long, it takes longer for his arms to get back into guard after punching. Now that we've gone through Nakatani's style, it's time to move on to Inoue's style. Inoue is a sharp, orthodox boxer puncher. He applies pressure and punishes mistakes with precision. He's not particularly flashy, but he does simple skills at the highest level. His footwork is elite because he takes short and explosive steps in order to get in range quickly before taking explosive steps out to exit when he no longer wants to be in range. He's not a volume puncher, but is extremely precise and throws textbook combinations like the 1-2 or the 1-2 left hook. His combinations are never more than 4 punches, but that's because he doesn't need to throw many shots. If he can just land one clean shot in a short combination, it's enough to rattle or cause a lot of damage to his opponents. He also has perfect punch mechanics, being able to rotate and follow through with his punches by utilizing a kinetic chain of movement where his punches start from his feet. He gets full rotation and you almost never see him throw arm punches. His defense is basic but reliable, opting to use a high guard with subtle head movement to mitigate any damage from headshots. He also uses conventional counters like pull counters and slips to punish openings. This also allows him to have defensive responsibility while staying offensively poised. Perhaps his best skill in his arsenal is his body attack. He sets up his attacks to the body using feints and an explosive jab. This allows him to go down with a left hook to the liver, a right hand to the solar plexus, or even just a body jab. Over time, this breaks his opponents down and either knocks them out or leads to them dropping their hands below their head, opening their head up. His first main weakness is that recently he's been getting more careless. There's been times where he's left himself open to attack, which has resulted in him getting hit with counters that have caused him to get flash knocked down. We've seen this in his recent fight with Ramon Cardenas, who managed to knock Inoue down in round 2, and before that we saw Louis Neri put Inoue down with a quick counter. Another one of his weaknesses is that his frame is small. Inoue is currently fighting at 121 pounds, but he started his career at 108 pounds. He's already moved up quite a few weight classes, so he's already against naturally bigger guys. Nakatani is the naturally bigger man as well, so Inoue is at a size disadvantage coming into this fight. Based on what we've talked about so far, we can come up with a strategy for what Nakatani needs to do to win. He needs to stay on the outside for as long as he can. Nakatani's got the height and reach advantage, so this means that he needs to have a constant jab, working the chest and the guard. He also needs to keep his lead foot on the outside like a typical southpaw would. This is because it allows for southpaws to have a wider angle, line of attack, and better defensive exposure. Every time Inoue tries to step in, Nakatani needs to do something to answer the entry. This means either sending straights down the middle, a check hook to pivot away, or even a left uppercut through Inoue's tight guard. Inoue's attack pattern will also be to go to Nakatani's body, so it's crucial that Nakatani denies the body attack early on by keeping his elbows tucked in and glued to his ribs, and using his head movement and footwork to escape before Inoue can finish combos. It's also crucial that Nakatani clinches at certain points, whether that's to stop exchanges or just to put weight on top of Inoue. He shouldn't clinch every time he's close range. He should opt to punch and move so that Inoue can't predict what will happen on the inside. It should be possible for Nakatani to win early rounds off his jab, and he should try to build scoreboard pressure during the first 5 rounds. This is because it will force Inoue to take risks later on, and taking risks against a counterpuncher is a dangerous game to play. Now, if Nakatani is able to stick to the game plan, which is staying on the outside with his reach, intercepting Inoue on the way in, denying the body attack, and winning rounds early on, he has a real chance at winning this fight. It's also important that Nakatani stays out of close range because this is where he's in the most danger, and it's also where Inoue wants the fight to be. This means staying off the ropes and holding the center as long as he can. If he has to give up any ground, it needs to cost Inoue something. There's probably a lot of factors that are missing, but if Nakatani is able to stick to this plan, he could give Inoue a lot of trouble. I don't see this fight going the distance. Both of these guys hit too hard and are exceptional at punishing mistakes. That's also why I think Nakatani has a real shot here, because Inoue has been making a lot of mistakes recently, like in his fight against Louis Neri, where Neri managed to catch him in an exchange to get a knockdown. It's one thing to highlight the weaknesses of a boxer and come up with a plan around it, but it's another thing to actually execute it. My pick for this fight is actually Inoue, because as good as Nakatani is, I don't think he's the man to take Inoue's O. The most likely outcome is that Inoue loses the first few rounds, but over time starts breaking Nakatani down before Nakatani is eventually forced to hold his ground. Inoue probably just knocks him out after posting him up against the ropes after round 6. I only really see him losing if he moves up a weight class, but this is still one of the best fights of the year. Let me know in the comments what you think of this fight, and who do you want to see either of them face next.